I'm Tamima and welcome to the Real Talk Round Table. Now, for many single parents, dating can be both exciting and scary. Well, today on the show, we get real on the ultimate guide of dating with kids. My guests will be sharing their stories about what they had to consider before getting into another long-term committed relationship. Stick around.
But for him, he was like, no, you already have a kid who is approaching teenage. This kid will grow up one day and he will beat me up.
You need to take your time. First, you need to heal because time tells everything.
My wife passed away about 2 years, 4 months ago, and I wasn't planning about remarriage.
Between that time and now, it's been like 3 years. And I can tell you, I know the difference between being married, being happily married, being unhappily married, being alone, and remarriage.
Welcome to the round table. Now, my guest will be sharing with us top advice for the next hour on what to consider as the ultimate guide for dating with kids. My first guest is Gladys Njoki. So Gladys will be sharing with us what her experience has been like as a single mom on the dating scene. Welcome to the round table, Gladys.
Thank you so much.
So you say that you've been single for the last 6 years now.
Yes, yes.
Previously married.
Yes.
And that marriage gave you 2 wonderful boys.
Yes.
And the reason that your previous marriage ended was because it was a very turbulent and violent relationship. Maybe just tell us a bit more about that.
Thank you, Tabima, for having me on the show. It's a privilege. I was married for 8 years, and we were blessed with 2 boys, 6 and 13.
Now,
yes. It was good at first. In the beginning, it was all good, rosy and all that. But something along the way changed, and the man became violent. And I would find myself at times in hospital, at times just at home, wounded and all that. And fast forward to when we broke up, I almost lost my life. He almost stabbed me, and that was more of a wake-up call for me. I had to make a choice of either to survive and be with my kids, or keep on fighting for this marriage and probably lose my life. Yes.
so he was violent towards you. Was he violent also towards the kids?
No. In the beginning, it was just me, fights on and off. But when I got my second baby, he was about 4 months old. He picked the baby and threw him on the bed, and I thought it was out of anger because I was using the baby as a shield at the moment when he was fighting me. So I thought he did that out of anger, and I didn't take much thought into it until when now he threatened to kill me. That is when I saw this thing is getting out of hand, and I needed to think of myself and the kids.
So now, when you got to the point where you say it was a near-death experience
It
because he wanted to kill you, literally.
Yes.
So when you made the decision to leave the relationship, how did he take it?
He didn't take it well, if I may say so, because he resorted into stalking me. Like, I would go into a supermarket, he's there. I would go to work, getting out of work, he's there. Like, literally, I would stand and he was all over the place. I had to take a restraining order against him for us to feel a bit safe, because someone who had an attempt on your life and now he's stalking you, only God knows what he's thinking. So it wasn't easy, but eventually he let go, and now it's 6 years.
So he's completely not in your life, completely not in the boys' lives?
Completely.
And
No
how are the boys
communication.
today?
They're fine. They're doing well. My firstborn saw everything that the mom that I went through and all that. And at some point, I think it was affecting him, and he wanted to be at his grandma's home most of the time. And I think at that point, I really didn't see the effect it was having on the kids. Until now, much later when we moved.
Because they were much younger. Your firstborn must
Yes.
have been probably 6 years
He
or
was-
so.
he was
Yeah,
six.
6 years.
Yes.
And the other one was a couple of months?
Yes, he was
Okay.
around 4 months. Yes. So when we moved out, we went back to my mom's place, and that is a point where I started seeing my kid stabilizing. I'm talking of the firstborn, because this other one was
Was
just a
too
baby.
young.
He didn't even know. He didn't even have an idea of what was going on.
But maybe now he was breastfeeding more, laughing more, because kids pick up on energy.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. But his health was also not so good, because the
Right.
mom is stressed out.
Right.
I don't really have time for the baby, because most of the time I'm thinking it's evening, I have to rush home. What am I rushing home for?
You're constantly
Another war,
anxious,
another
stressed.
fight. Yes. So for me, I was also not taking good care of the kids at the moment. So, but right now, I can say the kids are doing very well.
So you're happy, the kids are happy.
We are happy.
And the one thing that struck me is that you say that despite the fact that you had quite a turbulent first marriage, you still remained optimistic about dating.
I did, because for me, I'm a believer of a good home, a good family, a good marriage. And even when I was getting into marriage, I always told myself I don't want to ever be called a single mother. And that was the main reason why I fought on for 8 years, in and out of hospital, at home. I can't go to work because I have a black eye or something.
Can we unpack that one? Because I feel like you're speaking to so many women and maybe men, that people perhaps stay in toxic relationships because they don't want that tag of you're a single mother, you're a single father. So what was it exactly for you? Because you've said that I didn't want to be a single mother.
I didn't.
How do you think society views single mothers?
They view single mothers on a very low key, if I may say so. And at some point, I even feel like they think that single mothers are out here looking for a savior, like we are some sort of written off goods. Sorry to say so.
Used
like,
goods.
Yes, used goods. And but I wish the society would first get to know the story behind this single mom. Why is she a single mother?
Right.
It is not out of choice.
For you, it was life or death.
Yes, mine was life or death. I had to choose either be called the single mom that I dreaded so much not to be called, or to lose my life. Someone might have been raped. They don't even know who did that, and they ended up having a child, and they were courageous enough to keep this baby. Someone, maybe just a relationship that went wrong, just like mine. So I wish the society would just embrace the stories first before putting a tag or judging the single women, the single mothers.
Okay, so then now you became a single mother.
I did.
And how did the society treat you in particular after that shift?
It was not easy. It was not easy, because for me, I really tried to show people that I was strong, that I was in a happy relationship. If you'd meet me on a regular day, you wouldn't even tell that I didn't sleep last night because I was being fought by my husband.
That's when now you are in the marriage.
When I was in the marriage, I always put up a bold face, a smile every day. I go out there, do what I have to do, but when I come back home, I am not happy. So when I became a single parent, people didn't believe that actually I was in a violent relationship.
So you were the one now who was being judged.
Yes.
Because after all, to
Yes.
them, he was a good
He
husband.
was a good husband, because that is what I made them see. That is what I
Right.
made them believe. And the people who are close to me, my family and our close circle of friends, those were the only people who knew what exactly was going on in our marriage. And those were the only people who believed the truth, that for sure this person almost lost her life. And at that point, my house help, then she was the one who was giving the story with my first son, because they experienced the whole thing. Because even if I told people this is what happened, they wouldn't believe.
And obviously your abuser would deny it.
He definitely did.
He'd
He
say
did.
that you're
He
you know,
did.
spoiling his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when we were out here as a couple, we were happy.
Right.
We were happy, we were smiling, we were so in love, you know, all those the romantic things and all that. But when we get home, it is a different story. So coming out as a single mom, that this thing has actually happened, it was tough. And I remember I slipped into depression for about 2 years, because I was also in denial that this thing is not happening.
Because after all, you'd spent 8 years trying to keep it
8
together.
years, 8
And then
years.
everything happened so fast. You have to leave. So now you have to reconcile. Why did I even stay for 8 years?
Exactly.
And now you're that single mom that
Exactly.
the label now, that's your reality.
Yes, and for me, I was like, how did I even get here? Like, I didn't want to be a single mom, not even for a day. And so how did I even get here? What did I do wrong? What did I fail to do? what was I supposed to say that I didn't say? You know, I had all these questions of, is it my fault? And for a very long time, I carried the burden of, it was my fault. As a woman, there's something I didn't do. I wasn't enough for him. And it was quite a burden. Slipped into depression, couldn't take care of my kids. But I thank God my mom and my sister were there. They took up the burden and they just helped me walk through it.
So you had a good support system.
I had a good support system.
And so finally now, once you're able to get your life together, there you are now, happily single, raising your 2 boys, and you decide now you're ready to start dating. So tell me what that experience was like.
Unfortunately, Tamima, I wouldn't say it was a good one. I've tried it 3 times, and the 3 times I've ended up being something so horrific, if I may say so. Because like for my first case, it was good. You meet someone and you click, and for me, I never hide the fact that I have kids.
So you lead with that.
I
Hi,
lead with
I'm
that.
Gladys Njoki.
Yes.
I'm a mother of 2 boys.
Of 2 boys. Just so you know, so if you're running, you start running.
Run then.
Now and
Yeah.
so I never hide the fact that I have kids. So I tell the guy, this is me, these are my kids, and where I go, my kids go. I am not leaving them, I don't know, with my parents and with my family to be with you. So if you're taking me, you're taking my kids with me.
So you established from the onset,
Yes.
your commitment is to your children first.
Yes, yes.
So you say you've tried to date 3 times,
Yes.
and the first time you say it started well.
Very well. Met the auntie, met the mother. But the auntie was very supportive of us, but the mom was not. She is this church women who
So
have all these
a traditionalist.
Yes, who have all this idea of my son needs to get married to a lady who is very single and no kids and you know all that drama. And the guy tried to convince the mom a lot that this is what I've chosen. And the mom, I remember the mom used very harsh words and said, I wish you brought a cripple.
Wow.
I would accept a cripple, but not a lady with a child.
And do you ever feel that you're also judged because you have 2 boys?
I do. Because my second case, the guy was okay and all that, but eventually he started having some issues. Like they were not necessarily issues because he was asking about the kids. How are the kids? Who are they? Blah, and all that kind of stuff. And I thought he's interested in knowing my kids as we work together. But the guy later was like, we can't do this. We had a misunderstanding just like any other couple.
Right.
But then he was like, we can't do this. And I was like, why? And he was like, you have 2 kids. These kids are grown. They're
So
not
now
like
you have 2 kids.
Yes.
Yes, from the onset, you were very clear. I'm a mother of 2
yes.
boys.
Now,
Okay.
now it has become clear to him that I have 2 boys.
And how long into the relationship was this?
About 6 months.
Okay.
Yes, and in the 6 months he had no issue. And now there's an issue that I have kids. The kids that you knew from day one, I had. And now he's like, these kids are not like toddlers that I will nurture from day one and I will make them feel that I'm the father. And I told him, it doesn't matter the age of a child. It's very easy to get into the heart of a kid
For sure.
by simply the things that you do and the things that you show that kid. But for him, he was like, no, you already have a kid who is approaching teenage. This kid will grow up one day and he will beat me up. I was like, why would the kid
So
beat
now
you
your
up?
teenage son is going to
Yes,
beat him up.
yes.
Okay.
And I told him, if you give him a reason to beat you up, he will definitely beat you
For
up.
sure.
If you teach him how to respect you, he will respect you as a dad.
But that just speaks further to the stigma around single moms, and especially single moms with
With
boys
boys.
in this culture.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because I've actually had so many people say that it's easier for a man to marry a woman with a girl child than a woman with a boy child. Some say family think that these boys coming to inherit where they were not born. Like, and others are like, why take care of another man's business?
And so, quick question. At what point were you introducing the boys to these potentials?
Tamima, there's one thing I made very intentional for myself, that I will never introduce my kids to any man until I'm sure we are doing life together.
So none of them ever met your kids?
None of them.
Oh, wow.
None of them.
High five moment.
I made that very
Yeah.
intentional for me from the word go, that
Right.
no man will meet my child.
And why
And
is that important?
It is important for me because, Tamima, I can't be introducing my kids to this man today. Then after 6 months, I bring in another man. What am I doing to their mind? What am I doing to their
You're
psychology?
modeling a behavior that they may end up picking up when they're older.
Exactly.
And dating.
Yes. And I will never be in a position to tell them that you should respect women. That if you're dating this woman, date this woman to the end. So if their mother is dating this man today, this man tomorrow, what picture am I showing them?
Okay, so you're still single and searching,
Still single.
but you have your boundaries in
Very
place.
very tight
Okay,
boundaries.
so let me ask our expert today, Willie Kinyanjui, to just join in on this conversation. So Willie, you've had Gladys's story, and I really love the fact that she was open about to admit that I've dated, but hey, guess what? None of them ever met my kids, and it's worked out for her because none of them was really it, so to speak. So listening to her story, and I'm sure there are so many women and men out there, and especially women, who can relate to what she's saying. And I want us to kick off by advising especially single moms to boys. What would you tell them, especially when it comes to this stigma that we have unearthed that exists in this society and in this culture?
Thank you, Tamima, for having me on board. And I love what Gladys have said. And I want to thank her for that decision she has taken, that I don't want to introduce my boys to these men who are coming my way. One, because you might make these children to lose faith in you. And so you need to hide these men so that when the right man will come, you not be like you've brought so many men our way, so we are not even sure whether this man who have come now is going to stick. And so that is a very good thing that she has done. And to the ladies out there, maybe those you have been married or you have kids and you're not married, and now you want to get married. Number one, I want to say this: you need to take your time, especially when you have been married and you have been divorced or you're separated. You need to take your time. First, you need to heal, because time tells everything. Because many times we tend to do things faster, because when you have left this marriage, there is a space, there is a vacuum that has been left, and so you need someone to come and fill in that vacuum. But you might do this, but this is the wrong time, only to realize after some time, I made the wrong decision. But why did I make the wrong decision? Because I rushed to it. I didn't take time. I was looking for someone to come and fill in this space, this vacuum that has been left empty. And so we need to take time so that when the right time comes, now we can be able to go ahead and do what we want to do.
Okay, thank you so much for that, really. So what we've had is take your time before you jump back into the dating scene. Take your time before you introduce those kids to your potential. And later on in the show, we're going to get deeper into that. What must you consider before now you think about introducing your kids to a potential love interest? But right now, it's time for a very quick break. Don't go too far. Hit that SMS line on your screen. Let me know if you have any further questions on tonight's topics. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the round table. Now, today's episode, we are talking about the ultimate guide to dating with kids. My next guests are Masha Mapenzi and Innocent Mwangi, and I need to let you guys know they're newlyweds. So they'll be telling us about their love story, how they found love for a second time, and what it's been like blending their family. So welcome to the round table.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So first of all, congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you.
In order to the
Thank you very
newlyweds.
much.
Thank you.
I like this, she's glowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we start? Maybe let's start with you, Masha. So you are now Mrs. Mwangi. So now I'm addressing Mr. and Mrs. Mwangi.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Right. So you guys have found a second chance at love. How does that feel?
Awesome. it's an awesome experience. It's one of those things that once you've been in marriage and then out of the scene, then back again. When you're out, you realize what it was like. And when you get a second chance, you want to give it your best.
And for you, Innocent?
It feels awesome. And this is a second chance for me, and it feels very, very good. I can say it was an unexpected second chance. I hadn't planned for it, but God had other plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me find out from each of you, because looking at you today, you're happy, you're glowing. I mean, you're newlyweds. But were you always optimistic that you would find someone?
I never thought about it. I was never searching, actually. I was at peace. Let's just say love came knocking.
Love found you.
Oh, yeah. Stalked me. Took me
What
over.
about you, Innocent?
I was ambushed.
You ambushed.
Love ambushed me, and maybe a bit of background about my story.
Yeah.
My wife passed away about 2 years, 4 months ago, and I wasn't planning about remarriage until 1 year and a half down the line, when God just brought someone in front of me, and this is how we are now. We've already reached this place, and we thank God. But I would say, like she says, she wasn't planning for it, and I wasn't planning for it.
What about your background, Masha?
I was married for 15 years, and I got divorced. And now, between that time and now, it's been like 3 years. And I can tell you, I know the difference between being married, being happily married, being unhappily married, being alone, and remarriage.
So you've gone through the entire cycle,
Oh, yeah.
all round.
Oh, yeah.
So he says that you happened on him, you know?
Ching.
It was love at first hit.
Not really
At first sight.
love happened on me in the form of mapenzi.
Okay. She's called Masha Mapenzi.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
Well, I was going about doing my business. I'd been invited. Actually, I've been invited to church by his late wife, and she was my friend. So I went there to sing and everything, and we had a very wonderful relation. And she found me at my lowest. In fact, the day we met again, because we had met many years before that, like 20 years before that. And during the time we met again, we refreshed our relationship. It had been, I was really going through a very rough patch, and she was there to encourage me. And in the process of encouraging me, we talked, we fellowshipped, and by the time we stood like this, she was gone. And
So that's where now you met him first.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
already you had a friendship and you were
Yes,
acquaintances.
yes, we were
Okay.
acquaintances.
So now when did the lens change?
Ooh, baby.
Because I can imagine before the lens was very clear. Then all of a sudden, it's rose-colored petals. Eh?
Yeah.
Now when Masha smiles, you're hearing music. And now when
Oh, yeah.
he looks your way, you're seeing flashing lights. So when did that happen?
It didn't help that I was already a fan of her music. She's
Okay.
a gospel artist.
So you like music.
So that was an open gateway for me. You know, I already liked her music, so there was no need for an icebreaker. So when she came to condole with us and my family, and she was very, very helpful to our family during that difficult times. And then a friendship just evolved out of that. And none of us expected it to come to the place where it is. But here we are, and we thank God for it.
So you were
yeah.
both parents. Masha, you were parents to...
Two, a boy, a 13-year-old boy, and a girl 6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Innocent?
I have two boys. One of them is 26 now. 26 years. And the other one is 21, and a girl of 14 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about 3 here plus 2 there. That's
Yeah,
5.
that's
Oh,
right.
Pentagon.
And then plus the 2 of you, that's 7.
Yes.
So now, at what point do the 2 of you make the decision that, you know what, maybe we need to consider blending? Because you mentioned that you were friends, you know, supporting each other.
Yes.
But when did you now, and who brought it up first? I think I'd be curious to find out. I don't know why I think it's you, Masha.
I look like a guilty person. Gosh.
Was it Masha?
I don't know. Was it you?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because we just happen to be friends.
Yeah.
And it also happens that our daughters share a birthday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now you can imagine where you've been friends and your kids, the only 2 daughters share a birthday.
So you're like, even let's not even do separate birthdays.
Just one birthday. And all that stuff, and I had a relationship with the children,
Yes.
and I would pick
You are
them.
that favorite auntie.
In fact, I think what caught my eye, even within that period of mourning and grief, there was a time she was going to Kilifi, that's where she was born, and she volunteered to go with my children.
All
to
three of them?
Kilifi. All three of them. My son actually is the one who drove them all the way
Wow.
down to Kilifi. And for them, like when my son was sharing with me, he told me it felt like deja vu, because the previous year before their mom died, we had gone for holiday at the coast. And for them, like that was like coming full circle. And it helped them a lot with their grieving process.
Right.
So for me, that won, if there was a bonga point, she won a lot of
With the
bonga points
kids,
during
because
that
to
time,
them
yes.
already, she was almost like
Yes.
a mother figure.
So the blending started allowed that time
Wow.
when she took them to.
So you
Kilifi.
led with the kids.
Yes.
Once the kids gave you the signal and the green light, you were like,
Yes.
now,
Yeah.
naweza angusha mistari. So, Masha, how did Innocent angusha mistari?
Hey, don't be deceived. He is such a wordsmith. Oh boy! With all my lines, I think I have lines. I
Yeah.
know I can throw mystery also, but I met the king of mysteries, so I humbly bowed down. Yeah, but it wasn't. It's one of those things that your friends, it actually evolved. It wasn't that like, hey you, what's up, y'all? No, it was friendship.
It was fluid.
Yeah, it was
free.
fluid.
1 minute you're friends,
And the next
you're...
minute you haven't talked to you
Mr.
today.
and
Yeah.
Like
we
that.
could do this forever.
And age helps, I think we're at a younger age, you have so many things, misgivings, or thinking maybe I need to present myself this way. But with age comes that confidence of, you know what, this is who I am.
Yes.
Right.
So you're not trying to be someone else to please someone. You are just you. As you're being you, someone else is being them. Then if you like something like, oh, by the way, I think I like that. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I think also age helps. And also previous experience. You see, like, I was coming from a place where I've been married before. He's also coming from a place where he's been married before. I mean, he was married for 25 years. Yeah. I was married for 15 years. Between us, we have 40 years worth of experience.
Wow.
So you're looking at some things, and you can learn from your failures.
Yeah.
You can learn from the rights that you had and all that stuff. So while you relate, your eyes are open, and the fact that you are open, you are not trying to pretend, you're not trying to be someone else. Makes it very easy. Because if you're putting in your 100% and someone else is coming in with 100%, then it's very easy to blend. If you're coming in with 50 and saying, let me wait for their 50, then that becomes very difficult. But when you just come and put your eggs on the table, this is me, this is what I am all about. If you are not comfortable, you can run.
Okay. So, and it's very interesting because I can tell that you guys are very good friends. Like, it's very apparent that before anything else, you guys, you're just good friends.
Yes.
You could be stuck on an island together and be living your best lives.
Throw away the
So,
keys.
but you come from very different backgrounds.
Yes.
And I want each of you to explain what it took now for you to actually be conscious of what your partner's needs would be in the relationship. Because Masha, for you, he's a widower. So grief was a huge element of where he was in life. And then now, Innocent, for you, Masha came from a divorce setup.
Yes.
So obviously for her, she must have come in with certain heart and feelings towards men and disappointments.
Yes.
So how has each of you been able to help the other navigate? Let me start with you, Innocent.
I think most people say time heals, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
God heals. And for our situation, in fact, for my own situation, I can say the grieving period that I went through, God helped me greatly. And one of the things I learned during that time, it's the need to be validated. And so when I met her and I heard her story, I never at any point judged her for what she has gone through. It's never the victim's fault to go through what they have gone through.
And when you say you did not judge her, because, and I want us to talk about that deeply,
Yes.
because we're here talking about the ultimate guide for dating with kids. So she was a single mom.
Yes.
Yes, at that point.
Yes.
So as a man, and we live in a very patriarchal society.
Yes.
You may have been, as a widow at that point.
Yes.
Because it's easier for people to say he's a widower versus he's a single dad.
Yes.
But did you ever at some point feel that maybe, let me just start life with a woman who doesn't even have kids? Clean slate. Because men come with those biases.
Let me just say I was open to what God was was bringing me in my direction. And what I remember the first time, and after my wife passed away, 25 years was a long time.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful relationship. We never had a single quarrel that will make her go back home. So it was a beautiful relationship. And when it ended through death, I told God, if I have to remarry, I'll marry for you. And then something in me told me God doesn't need a wife. And then I said, okay, fine, give me somebody who we can serve God together.
Yeah.
And when she came along, she's a gospel artist, she's an evangelist, and she kind of fitted that package. I never looked at the divorce tag. You know, there are people who have very different views about somebody who has been divorced and whether they should marry or remarry or not. But, you know, God just gave me the grace, you know, to love her. And she came recommended by God himself.
Right. And by your kids.
And by my kids. That was actually was one of the
Yes.
first things that I really needed to understand whether she'll be able to cope with the kids. The kids loved her. You know, they bonded pretty well with my daughter and with my boys. And I could see it working, even though at that particular time, it hadn't crystallized in my head that I'm going to start life again with another person for the second time. So God did not bring in my direction choices. He brought one.
Wow.
And her name was Masha Mapenzi.
So it was revelation,
Yes.
confirmation, Masha
Yeah.
Mapenzi.
Yeah.
So what was it like now for you coming into his world and knowing that he's dealing with grief? Because like he said, 25 years.
Amazingly, I was going through, there was a program, I had gone to sing somewhere in Mombasa. And when I was there, somebody suggested that they're going to be having a meeting for widows and widowers. And I thought, oh boy, I have a friend who's a widower. And I'm sure he'd really appreciate being in the presence of like-minded people. People are going through the same kind of process. So he might benefit. So I called him, I told him there's some place I need to take you because I think they are in a better position to understand your situation. I have never been bereaved, so I really don't understand. But I think you're in that place you can actually get help. So I did take him there. When I got there, I was in a meeting and the people were sitting there and they were introducing themselves. So I stood up and said, I am Masha Mapenzi and I am single by divorce. And I was pulled aside. I was told, now we actually have a meeting that is more suitable for you. If you don't mind, can we take you there?
Wow.
And I was like, okay, take me there. And that meeting was at Parklands Baptist. They have a divorce care program for guys who have been divorced, separated, and they're dealing with all that kind of drama. And they also have a program for the grief share, people who have lost loved ones, and they're also dealing with grief. So when I was going to help him, I found help for myself. For the first time in my life, had been dealing with divorce, I'd been dealing with the trauma and all that stuff. But I found a group of people who were dealing with what I was dealing with, the pains. There was no judgment. So while I was there helping him, I found myself help. And by the time I was done, I was completely healed. You know, like when you're going through, let's say, separation and divorce, there's so much you tuck. When you're going through pain, you do not want to expose your children. So while you're sparing your children, you are the one who is burning and dying inside.
You're absorbing everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got a place to exhale. So while I didn't even know I was suffering depression. Because, you know, you've been strong all through.
Right.
Then you get a place where you go like,
you're exhaling.
You're exhaling,
Yeah.
and there's no shame in what you're going through. You don't have to act strong anymore. And while I was going through that, that's when I got to face exactly what I was going through. And while I was there, I learned so much and I got healing for myself. And while I was getting healing for myself, I could relate now with even people who have lost their loved ones.
You now could be the wife that he needed.
Yes.
And if I maybe add something there, I was the patient that was being taken there.
Yeah.
The patient ended up taking the doctor because I actually never joined the grief share program.
Right.
God had already started dealing with me and helped me to deal with my grief. So she ended up being the one, you know, in need of help rather than me during that time. But little did I know that God was also working on her healing. You know, she had been broken and damaged. And I think this happens to a lot of people who go through divorce. You know, the kind of second guessing, that's the confidence that you lose along the way. And I thank God she went through that program, because at the end of the day, I think that's when things started turning around and for us to start looking at each other as potential husband and wife. Yeah.
So now let's talk about parenting very quickly, because you each say that the other makes you a better parent. Masha, you say that because he has more experience in that department, certainly.
Yes.
He helps you now navigate the world of mothering teenagers.
Yes.
Because you see, like my son is now 13, headed 14. I've never dealt with a teen in my life. So you can imagine you've been dealing with toddlers, then suddenly there's this human being
Right.
who is so opinionated.
Right.
And you're there thinking, when I say something, I expect you to run, but instead you stand and challenge me.
Yeah, that's their instincts.
And you're thinking,
Yeah.
what on earth? So with him having raised boys before me, like at least even more
And
than
most
10 years.
importantly, him being a man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the things that I would come and try and push down his throat as a woman, and yet he's a man. The things I cannot deal with, I don't understand because I am not a man. So with his input, I'm able to understand, like this one you push, this you don't push. Now with him, he's suddenly raising a teenage girl. A teenage girl is a woman.
Right.
For crying out loud. That's a little mini woman.
Right.
Fully loaded. So there are things he cannot deal.
So granted, he had experience, but he had experience with sons. So this one now
had
is different. Look at
very
how
different.
I
God
had
works.
experience with sons
Yeah.
and also about 2 years experience with my daughter.
Right.
Her name is Grace. And within that time, I told her, anything you you would have told your mom, I need you to tell me. Whatever you need, I need you to tell me. But then I've never been a woman, neither will I ever be. So there are things I can't understand about girls that someone of the opposite gender can understand better than I can. And when it comes to raising teenagers, you know, she would come to me and say, I feel like taking a cane. And I told her, no, you don't. This is not the age to discipline them with a cane. This is the age to talk to them.
For
This is
sure.
the age to guide them. This is the age to mentor them.
And
And I
you
think
know,
that's the balance that we bring
I
on the
really
table.
love hearing your story, because I think even for so many of my viewers, you're giving people hope. You're giving people who are coming from divorce, separation, hope. You're giving people who are dealing with grief, you know, widows and widowers hope.
Yes.
That they can actually find what it is that the two of you have.
True.
So now, as we wind up very quickly, Masha, I told you, you must have prayed. That prayer, please. Eh?
To be honest, I remember when I was out in the cold. You know, if you've been somewhere and then you find yourself out in the cold. I remember making one prayer. I said, Jesus, you said that you are the husband of the husbandless. Now, Lord, I need you to be my husband. In fact, I coined a name. They used to call me Mrs. Lord. Like that. And I told him, Lord, my hormones are running helter-skelter. My emotions are everywhere. You see, I was married before, so I know about certain things. Like, I have sexual needs. Lord, I need you to help me.
Right.
So I told him, Lord, chukua funguo, take the lock this thing, keep the keys.
Yeah.
When you feel that I'm ready, Lord, bring them back. I'm giving you my heart because I do not want to experience stray emotions and stray affections. So you know what? Even these emotions, I am trusting you with them. Take charge. If I ever have to feel anything for anyone, let it come from you. If I don't need to, Lord, make them all like trees. I look at them and I got no feelings whatsoever. And he did it for me.
Okay, so there you've had it. And I hope you've been inspired. So today we are just trying to give hope to everybody that you can find love. If you're single and trying to date with kids, you definitely can find love. But at the same time, you have to do it right. You have to know who you are. You have to heal. And you have to put those children first. So our SMS line is on your screen. Let me know your comments, feedback on today's topic. But right now, it's time for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the round table. Now, today we are talking about finding love, second chances, and doing it right, especially when children are in the mix, because we are all about healing you and building families. Now, my next guest will be sharing more on this topic. I have with me Rosie Mbai, who is a family therapist. Welcome to the round table, Rosie.
Thank
and
you.
also Mr. Sudi.
Yes.
So Sudi, let's start with you.
Yes.
Because you are a father of 4 kids now.
Oh yeah, father of 4.
You say that you have previously been married and divorced.
Yes.
You were divorced in 2018.
Yes.
But you have since been able to find love.
Oh yeah.
Newly married, and also now with an extra bonus baby.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it all sounds so beautiful just to put it out like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that the process for you and everyone involved must have taken a lot of growing, you know, and healing. So maybe let's start with at the point where now you're a divorced man.
Okay.
And you say that your ex and you have a very cordial relationship and you're happily co-parenting. So maybe explain to us, how did you get to that point? Because, you know, most people who end up getting divorced, a lot of the time it's very acrimonious. I don't want to see you, you don't want to see me, the kids, you know, it can get ugly.
Yes.
But you say that for you, it ended at a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was special. It was different. I've talked about it a couple of times, and I always thank God for what we had, because we were living in the same house, and we were separated for more or less a year. But we lived in the same house. Well, of course, separate rooms, but in the same house, taking care of our kids. And it was...
And 3 kids.
3 kids.
This is now 2 boys and a girl.
2 girls and a boy.
And a boy,
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we were living together, and I was served my children's court papers in the house when we were together, and I was served my divorce papers as well in the house. Personally, I never felt like as if I'm dying or anything. I decided to take the calmer route. So through the whole process, even when she would get a little bit, you know, tangy, I would be the calm one. I would always sit back, and throughout it helped us be able to cordially just think things through, how to separate what, how to go where, how to treat our kids, because once me and how we were done, everything shifted to our children, and that became the most important
And
thing.
how old were the kids when now the divorce process was going on?
Our oldest, who's now 13, was 10. Then of course I had a 6-year-old, and the other one was 3.
And why do you think, maybe in your own opinion, that perhaps that marriage couldn't work out?
Well, marriage is a beautiful thing, and with beautiful things come behind the scenes there are a lot of work that needs to be done. The moment that work stops, and I could have been the culprit, with the moment it stopped, I stopped working on it, is when everything started becoming a bit dicey, because you don't give it your time, it won't give back. You don't give it the seriousness it deserves, it won't give back. And for me, that is what I experienced. The moment when she would have an issue and I don't tackle it there and then, I would maybe procrastinate or postpone it. That's when the small things started popping out.
It just keeps growing and growing.
It's growing and becomes...
Eventually it erupts.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it then. And the best way would be just go your separate ways for a bit. See how probably you calm down and see if you can work things through. For me, it just never happened.
Okay.
We were never able to bring it back.
How long did the marriage last for?
Wow, 13 years.
13 years.
Yes,
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
And so finally, you both now, I'd say cordially, you're both divorced.
Yeah.
Putting the kids first.
Oh yeah.
Both
Always.
co-parenting.
Yes.
And at that point, did you perhaps think that, I might give this thing another shot. I'm ready to go back into the dating scene.
Actually, I was ready the moment the moment it ended. I was like, you know what? I believe in marriages, and I believe it's a wonderful thing. And God never intended for man to be alone. So I was ready to get it, but it also took a lot of therapy for me to give it a bit of time, because even
So
though
you were
I
going
really
for individual therapy
Of
as
course.
Sudi.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes, I was going through that during our separation, and yet as we were living together. So I was going through that for the last 6 months, just before the annulment was final. So I kept on it, and that's when my therapist was like, you know what, take your time. You don't need to rush. Because me, I was like, you know what, since this one has come to an end, well, what am I doing here? I mean, I may as well start, looking somewhere else. Because everything when it came to trying to resolve the matter, what is this that we need to talk about, she pulled that out of the table. So I had no cards to play. So I was like, okay, it was
done.
It was done.
She was done.
She was done.
So you had to be done.
I had to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, at what point now, and I'm very happy that you're very open about going for therapy.
Oh yeah.
And just listening to you talk and your choice of words, it's very evident that you've done a lot of healing, reconciliation, owning up to your mistakes as a man.
Very important.
So at what point now did you now meet this special woman who is now your wife?
Well, I met this lady a couple of years earlier. Well, it was cordial, we were friends and whatnot, but I met her earlier. By the time this was happening, we were talking. It's not like it was the end of the world. We were more than that, even at that particular time. But I never thought of taking it on with her.
Right.
That was not in my mind until the very end, when I was looking at my options. I didn't know I would have an array of options because it's been 13 years. But when I looked at my options, then that's when it set in, and I was like, I think better the devil I know.
So you were friends.
Yeah.
So it was easy to build up on the fact that you had a friendship with this woman.
Yeah.
And then now you started dating, and now dating became, okay, I'm considering you as my long-term partner.
Yeah.
And how would you say the relationship is?
Well, a lot of work. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
But there's still the ups and downs. What I appreciate about this one is, I was explaining to a friend that before my separation and divorce, me and my wife never really fought. We never had one of those, never, none of that. It's up to that last year that all those things erupted, and it was big. It was one of those, I don't know whether, I'm actually even surprised that both of us came out alive. It was that big. So this one is different. This one, we tackle things there and then.
Right.
We don't move them ahead. We don't.
You're all very clear. This is my baggage.
Yes.
This is your baggage.
Yes.
Let's unpack.
Yeah. Put it on the table.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's have a real talk. Let's know what it is. Then from there, we take it on.
So I hope you've had Real Talk Sia TV. Pepe. Have real talk in all your relationships.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Oh, yes.
whether you're dating with your kids, have real talk, guys.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to bring in Rosie here, because Rosie, you've been listening, and you're a family therapist. So he's a man now with a blended family. So what has he done right?
The first thing I like about him is the fact that he's owning up his past, because we cannot avoid the reality that happened. What led me to this particular blended family? You cannot forget but that maybe for him it is a divorce. It is a whole loss.
Yeah.
People assume loss, divorce is not like a death of a spouse. This is a whole loss. He talked about 13 years. He came and said, fine, let us try to make it work. And he said very well that the partner was not willing to do it. But then the very best thing to do is, this particular person came on the table and said, look here, it's not working, I have to accept. And again, and I want to commend him, going for therapy, keeping it real. I really want this marriage, but I always say marriage is for two. It's hard work, but it's for two people who are willing to go the same journey.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of that in the current relationship, and that is something that now makes people now go to the same route and say, by the way, I'm in my second marriage, the first one failed, chances of the second one failing are also very high, but we must admit that one thing, it is hard work.
Okay, well put. So do you say now, even now in your second marriage, because your current spouse did not have any kids?
No.
So you were the one now single with children, her, she was just single.
Yeah.
And as a man, you were very intentional about the fact that she had to take parenting classes.
Yeah.
Tell us about
Even
that.
my
Why was
ex-wife
that
took
important?
parenting classes. I'm very particular when it comes to that, because I'm a believer, and for whatever it is, there's a code that I want in my family, which is, it has to be biblical. It has to be how God wanted this to be. So for you to for her to take parenting classes, it has to be particularly a biblical child raising classes. I wasn't going for Google or anything or anyone. I wanted that to be specific.
Because, and let's be honest, and I love that, because she's coming into this and she's becoming an instant parent.
Yeah.
At that point, your oldest child was?
At that point, 10.
And then you have another one who's...
Yeah, 6.
And
then and the last one was 3.
So she's becoming an instant parent to 3 kids across different ages.
Yeah.
And again, we have to applaud her humility, because
Yeah.
most people would feel like, so you don't feel I'm good enough for your kids, but she went through the process with
Yeah.
you. And how has that now benefited the co-parenting and the blended family mix?
Now that we eventually we also have our own. We now, together with her, I have a child with,
Right.
and now that's our fourth born. That's my fourth born.
And growing.
And growing. And what I liked about it was, she took her time. She told me, I am not ready to see your children. Give me time. When I'm ready, I'll let you know. And I respected that. And it took her, I think, a year.
Wow.
That's when now she was ready, and she was like, yo, I think now I'm good. Now I can meet your kids. And that's exactly how we did it. And since then, my kids met her, and it has been growing. It has been one of those, not over the table, it's bits and pieces. We started by maybe a day, then we went to 2 days. Then I always see them every other fortnight. So for the weekend, so before we know it, we were doing 3 days. And now she's okay. Now they even call each other, they know each other, which is even more interesting. I was explaining that she, even together with my ex-wife, they have each other's numbers, because when the kids are with me, they're with her. So she needs to know if anything happens to me. So they even talk, which
So
we've
both
already
of
gotten
these
there.
women, as the mothers to your children,
my children, yeah.
have a separate relationship from you.
Oh yeah.
So how were you able to have all this in place? Because, you know, that's a very interesting mix.
Yeah.
Most of the time people will be cordial, but now you're saying that your ex can actually call up your wife and
Oh, yeah.
they'll talk about the kids. It has nothing to
Oh,
do
yeah.
with you. So how are you as now the man? And there's something you said earlier that I really have to applaud you on, where you're saying when you're going through the divorce, and there were times where it wasn't pleasant,
No.
and you felt that, you know, she's angry and whatnot, but you had to be the man.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm seeing consistently with you is that you step up.
Oh yeah.
Even when it makes you uncomfortable,
Oh, yeah.
you step up. So
I'm
now,
honest.
and you're saying also that what you've learned is that you can only make this work, one, by having very clear boundaries, and at the same time having protocols.
Oh, yes.
So tell me about that.
Okay. With that, the communication basically is when now the three of us, the adults in the family, we decided that it's going to be about the kids. We know these kids every other fortnight are with daddy, and I have one who's with me constantly. So I explained to the both of them that I don't want my kids being out there and wondering, I hear I have a brother, or I have sisters and a brother and I don't know about. So, and I don't want anyone else out there being able to bring it in and tell them, oh, do you know you have, or do you know you don't have?
Right.
So it was that understanding that brought us to a round table, and we decided, and we spoke about it, and well, separately, but we were like, yo, I would like my kids to know their sibling, and I would like my kid to know his siblings.
When you say you've spoken about it, so then are you ready for when now your ex-wife also moves on? I'm assuming
yeah.
she's not moved on right now.
Well, I wouldn't know.
But are you ready for that? Because
Oh,
then
yes, I am.
that makes now the blending even
Yeah,
bigger.
I am. Because for me, that's a chapter that between me and her closed, and I don't think her life should stop there.
Right.
I think she should have a chance also to experience life in full, because I believe in the word that says, you shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. So when that comes, I'm good, I'm ready, and I'm willing to learn. The thing about marriage, post-marriage, into another marriage, is you have to accept to learn. You cannot have, I cannot set, I cannot have a strong line and say that I will not accept, or I will accept this. No, it's about, oh, so this is what you want. So I need to consider you, I need to hear you out, and I need to help you also move the same way I would like to be helped to move forward.
Certainly.
And that has really helped the three adults in this particular relationship.
Right.
Because we are always in communication, and we try our level best to make sure that we bring these children right, because at the end of the day, they're in my house and I have to take care of the whole lot.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me just bring Willie back in. Willie, you were listening all along, and I think really for me is just talk to the man, because Sudi for me has set such a high bar, and it is attainable, because as a result, there's a lot of healing, there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of love. Yeah, even between him and his former wife, there's a lot of love still. So talk to the man.
Thank you, Tamima. For ages, we have answered the question, what is marriage? But I feel it is high time we now need to answer the question, why marriage? And I think this is what this gentleman did. he wanted to answer this question, why marriage? And that's why he decided to go for classes to get some counsel, because you don't know it all. That's why he had to go and get counsel. And so I would advise all men out there, you don't know it all. So you can go for some classes, you can go for counseling. And there's something I've picked from this gentleman, that is maturity. If you want your marriage to stand, you must apply maturity. This is someone who is mature. And so without maturity, you'll have problem. You'll face difficulties. You'll face obstacles. And so we must be mature. When we are starting these families, maturity must be there. And 3 things we need to have as we go to the blended family. Number 1, mutual respect. We need to have respect. Respect the one who was there, the one who have just come in. Let there be respect. And number 2, let there be open communication. Be real. Talk. Have a real talk. If something is not working for you, don't try to beat around the bush. Come straight on the table and say, by the way, this is not working. This is not good. I mean, you need to have open communication. Whatever it is, bring it on the table. Don't go and discuss with men out there. No, just bring it on the table and discuss the two of you. And the third thing is mutual understanding. We need to understand each other. All of us, we are coming from different backgrounds. And so where I am coming from and where you are coming from, we are totally different. We have been raised in different manners. And so when we are coming together, I need to understand when this gentleman is saying this, when this woman is saying this, where is she coming from? Where is he coming from? Because if we don't have understanding, then we will have chaos and we will bring fight and we will have fight. Then as we are having fight, what are we showing our children? What are they picking from us? What are they learning from us? And so we must understand each other if you want to see our marriages stand and work.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Willie. And of course, because we are talking about guide for dating with kids, put the children first. Because the difference, I like to think, when you're dating as a single woman, a man with no kids, and when you're dating as someone with children, is that now it's not just about what I like. You have to consider, do my kids like this person? Is this good for my kids? Is this someone that I see myself being with long term? Do they represent the same values? So obviously this is such a wide topic, and my time is up, but I really do hope that for the last 1 hour I've earned the privilege of your time. My guest stories have inspired you. If you have any questions, SMS line is on your screen. Hit me up, let me know. Well, that's it from me, Tamima. As always, thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.